I watched Avengers Infinity War on the 27th of April, and I'd say it's a pretty awesome film. As usual, this review will have no spoilers, but if there's enough interest in this, I might do a spoiler review. Right, well I'll start off the good, which there is a lot of. I'd honestly say this is one of the most well-paced MCU movies just to sit through and enjoy. I thought that such a long run time might pull it down a little bit, but honestly it didn't. The humour was on point as always, it had most of the cinema laughing in some parts, and unlike other MCU films, it never undercut any of the more serious scenes, something that I will admit The Last Jedi came very close to doing in some cases. Additionally, the cinematography was beautiful. Some of the wide shots of landscapes and places were some of the best since Guardians 2, and some of that was great, and this almost tops it I think. Undoubtedly the best part of the movie was Thanos, and I can safely say he's tied with Ultron as my favourite, purely because of how humanised this giant purple Homer Simpson is. And honestly, he's great. If you look at the film as Thanos' story, and it's quite interesting because you think that the heroes in this are really the villains to him, and it's a really interesting way of looking at it. Anyway, I did have some minor problems though, but they're really just nitpicks. Firstly, there was nothing hugely surprising in the film. Alright, trust me, it had some shock moments, but nothing compared to some of the previous MCU films. Which, especially more the recent ones, there's been some kind of big surprises that they have. There's nothing massive here. Okay, there was a moment near the beginning of the film where something insane happens, and it genuinely shook me for a moment, but then there was a bit of a cop-out after, and it kind of left me a bit disappointed. Additionally, despite an amazing return to the classic iconic Avengers theme for one scene in the film, the rest of the soundtrack was kind of mediocre, and it kind of got buried under a lot of noise, which is perfectly acceptable, but you're only really going to hear some great music at one point around the middle, and then a bit at the end. The rest of it, he kind of just blends in a bit. Finally, here's what I think is the weirdest part of the movie. This is not really an Avengers film. This is Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but without the retro music. And honestly, that's great. Even though, like, it should be an Avengers film, the Earth's mightiest heroes, the Avengers, had a pretty big role still. The standouts of the film were clearly the Guardians and Thor. Thor feels very much like part of those now. And they kind of stood out a lot more. They were more interesting, and obviously you've still got Iron Man and all that, who is probably one of my favourite characters in the film. But some of these scenes took place like in space. A lot of the film was in various different planets, which some of the Avengers did inevitably end up on. Yet some of the low points of the film, or maybe not as fun, were mainly on Earth. Which, although the Battle of Wakanda was amazing, there were sometimes parts where I'd be like, oh no, I want to go back to this part. Anyway, well, overall I give Infinity War a solid 8.5 out of 10. Maybe 9. This is very rare for me to give out such high ratings for a film, so this is pretty good. I'd highly recommend you to go and see it, and let me know if you liked it in the comments below.